corruption is so penetrating, is so deep, is so broad, and the only thing is that as corrupt as the Supreme Court? I don't know. It's a good discussion because the Supreme Court, in my opinion, is run by a corrupt cabal right in front of your face, corruption. And we can go through it if we want to, but that's what the era that we're living in. We're living in massive, staggering, breathtaking, penetrating corruption.
But as Jim Fallows, who in addition to being a great journalist is also a pilot and aviation expert, notes, if you lay off people who make air travel safe, you're inviting unsafe air travel. That's really rather simple. 2, there is a measles outbreak in Texas, and we have an HHS secretary, RFK Jr., who is a prominent opponent of vaccine. 3, Musk now has access to the Internal Revenue files. Now, it's a crime to improperly use or release any of that information. Do you think that'll stop him?
No.
If you're on Trump's enemies list, James, I think we agree. You better worry. And just if I spoke with IRS Commissioner John Koskin, former IRS Commissioner, served under both Obama and Trump, along with Sheldon Cohen, I think the best commissioner in my lifetime. And he said, apart from my concerns about safety and privacy and all of that, they could not pick a worse time to be meddling with the IRS. This is tax filing season, and this is going to mess up a lot of that. They threaten to really, really mess up the filings of a lot of average Americans. It's not going to affect the wealthy with accountants and lawyers, but it's going to it could potentially wreak havoc on a lot of average folks.
Disaster is hardly the word. First of all, we're living in a klepto state of staggering, breathtaking, far-reaching, penetrating corruption. And of course, Trump is totally corrupt. Look at everything he's done. Look at understand, Amazon paid, this is according to the Wall Street Journal and the New York Post. So everybody take a deep breath. The Wall Street Journal and the New York Post share common ownership. It's called Rupert Murdoch.
Right.
Fox News. $41 million for a documentary for Melania, of which, according to them, she's going to pocket $28 million. But we're not done with the corruption. They're going to sell credits, corporate credits, at $10 million apiece. So when they roll the credits at the end of the movie for $10 million, they'll include you. Now, this is Amazon, which owns the Washington Post. The corruption is so penetrating, is so deep, is so broad, and the only thing is that as corrupt as the Supreme Court? I don't know. It's a good discussion because the Supreme Court, in my opinion, is run by a corrupt cabal right in front of your face, corruption. And we can go through it if we want to, but that's what the era that we're living in. We're living in massive, staggering, breathtaking, penetrating corruption. Look at Eric Adams. Look at that. Look at what's going on in the most important city in the world. And you'll get an idea. It's the Supreme Court. It's the city of New York. It's the executive branch. It's everywhere you see. It's not minor corruption. It's not part of the system. It's not the give and take that goes on. This is just stealing with both hands and both feet right in front of you. And the Supreme Court is included.
Well, the Eric Adams thing, which we discussed, is really, really outrageous. They conditionally pardoned him. They gave him a pardon. This is the indicted New York City mayor, who's, if you read the stories, it's an administration rife with corruption. And the pardon they gave him was, if you play ball with Trump, we'll keep pardoning you. But if you don't, Tom Homan, the Homeland Security czar / thug, came and said, I'll be right in your office up your butt. I've never quite heard of a pardon like this, but that's the way they play. I hope the governor of New York dismisses him. She has the power to do that. She ought to do that. He's brought tremendous discredit to the city.
She should run his ass out of there and speak up. But she calls me on the phone and F-bombs me to death about the process. And I said, Governor, I'm sorry. Process hell. This guy needs to leave the most important city in the world, and he needs to leave now. And if he wants to wait for the process to work, we'll take the process and shove it right up his stupid, corrupt ass. It's time to speak out against this goddamn corruption that's going on all over the country and in New York City. And Governor Hochul run his stupid ass out of there pronto.
He doesn't, obviously, Trump is a sworn enemy of any accountability, whether it's congressional or legal or anything else. And he's declared war on the press. The outrageous defamation suits against CBS 60 Minutes, the Des Moines Register's Ann Seltzer. But it is working. It is already having a chilling effect. Disney capitulated on a Trump suit that he never would have won. But they got a lot of business dealings, so they gave him $16 million. Trump is banning the Associated Press. That's the gold standard of fair reporting around the world. Now, why is he banning them? He's banning them because they won't call his Gulf of America. They keep referring to it as the Gulf of Mexico, which most countries do. I mean, this is just extraordinary. And I'll tell you, his next target is going to be the most important press protection, which is the so-called Sullivan case of 60 years ago that really affords protection for investigative reporters and holds the powerful accountable. It's a myth that you can't ever win a defamation suit. You can. Fox was about to lose one last year. They drove Gawker out of business.
I gotta say that the corporate media, which for the most part is the media, all right, there are notable exceptions, but I mean, just look at the Post, look at Amazon, look at the Los Angeles Times, right. Look at Disney, look at Paramount, CBS, all right? Look at what they're doing. It's free press. There's some bastions left, holdouts of free press, but a lot of their press is just acquiescing in this corruption.
Right.
He also said I don't have the words in front of me, but in effect said it's idiotic to say that Ukraine started this war. Of course it's idiotic. We all saw what happened.